for Unrivaled. Personally, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm somewhere in between 0 and -15. So I have negative excitement for Unrivaled. Last year, I was curious. I wanted to check it out. Okay, this is what's going on here. Yeah, I won't be back. Deuces. You guys don't even have Caitlin Clark for the year 2. You guys don't even have Angel Reese year 2. Y'all don't even have Asia year 2. What about Sabrina? What about Oh, you guys got nobody year 2. Oh yeah. Deuces. Sophie Cunningham spoke on Unrivaled. And
Sophie Cunningham unleashed a bombshell revealing the WNBA's own outdated rulebook literally allowed players to target and injure Caitlin Clark without consequence. This isn't just about hard fouls, it's about institutional failure, with the league's fundamental guidelines enabling a system where physical aggression against a rising star like Clark wasn't just tolerated but effectively sanctioned. The implications are staggering, pointing to a deliberate neglect that put players at severe risk, fundamentally undermining the integrity of the game. It's a scandalous truth that the league actively chose not to update the very rules meant to protect its athletes.
The WNBA, the gift that keeps on giving. I tell y'all time and time again, I love Sophie Cunningham's podcast. She's always gonna give you nuggets that you have to take from. And boy, did she drop some gems on this one, exposing the fact that there are rules in the WNBA rulebook that have allowed players to get away with targeting and injuring Caitlin Clark. She exposed it. We already know Kathy Engelbert has the brain cell of a peanut. We already know Kathy
This shocking admission confirms what many suspected: the WNBA's official handbook used by referees is so woefully behind the times it's practically an open invitation for mayhem. According to Sophie, this ancient document offers officials cover to ignore blatant fouls, essentially turning games into a free-for-all where players can be hit upside the head with a sledgehammer or slammed through a table with impunity, all while refs shrug and point to the rulebook. It's a devastating indictment of leadership, exposing a fundamental flaw in the league's operational core that allowed a culture of unchecked aggression to flourish. The league's own guidelines, meant for protection, became a weapon.
Deuces. You guys don't even have Caitlin Clark for the year 2. You guys don't even have Angel Reese year 2. Y'all don't even have Asia year 2. What about Sabrina? What about Oh, you guys got nobody year 2. Oh yeah. Deuces. Sophie Cunningham spoke on Unrivaled, and as she was speaking about it, she clearly spoke on the conflict of interest that Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart have with the WNBA in negotiating a new CBA deal. If the owners say, we'll give you X amount of money, X amount.
The brutal reality is this lax rule enforcement directly contributed to the relentless physical targeting of Caitlin Clark. Her rookie season saw her endure an unprecedented level of aggression, often going uncalled, precisely because the existing WNBA rulebook provided no real deterrent. This wasn't just physical play, it was often deliberate, calculated attempts to disrupt and intimidate, facilitated by a refereeing standard stuck in the past. Sophie Cunningham's courage to speak out highlights the widespread frustration among players who felt unprotected by their own league, making Clark's experience a symptom of a much deeper systemic problem.
Caitlin Clark, she exposed it. We already know Kathy Engelbert has the brain cell of a peanut. We already know Kathy Engelbert has air floating between her ears, and she has been negligent toward these piss poor refs. And this is part of the reason why there's about to be a WNBA RICO. They are going under investigation, and I'm interested to see what findings there are. But we have one half of the Blonde Bombers, one member of Tres Leches, explaining how the rules have allowed people to get away with targeting and hurting Caitlin Clark. Welcome to Keep the...
At the heart of this negligence sits Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, whose leadership is now under intense scrutiny. She's been accused of having a brain cell of a peanut, and air between her ears, a stark criticism for failing to update the very foundational rules governing player safety. Despite constant talk about freedom of movement and promoting a free-flowing game, Engelbert allegedly did nothing to address the archaic rulebook or engage with referees about consistent enforcement. Her inaction created a dangerous environment, proving a shocking disconnect between the league's stated values and its on-court reality for athletes like Clark.
You can get the more you look into it, the more a conflict of interest just jumps out and screams at you. We have that. We have Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull taking the Caitlin Clark effect, capitalizing on it the best that they can. Sophie Cunningham had an epic run last week, from Good Morning America to the NASCAR event. Sophie Cunningham, let me just preface this right now. Sophie Cunningham is setting herself up for a career outside of basketball. Not a post-basketball career where she's still talking the game. Shoot, she could still do that if she wants to. I know she did some Phoenix Suns games, right, once upon a time. I'm talking the Nate Burleson.
The gravity of this situation is underscored by Lexi Hall's jaw-dropping revelation that players are forced to negotiate for better referees and their collective bargaining agreements. Think about that for a moment. The athletes themselves have to fight for basic competent officiating, something that should be a given in any professional sports league. This isn't just a grievance, it's an alarming indicator of how little value the WNBA places on fair play and player protection, pushing the burden onto those most vulnerable. It exposes a profound systemic issue where safety is apparently a bargaining chip, not a fundamental right.
With injuring Caitlin Clark, and we saw Lexi Hull in her Glamour magazine speech where she said the players are having to negotiate for better referees. That is an absolute joke. Why should players have to negotiate in a CBA for better referees? You should just want to have the best referees, Kathy. You actually should want the best referees in your league so you can have the best league, Kathy. These are the reasons that people just can't get behind you, even though we see what's going on with Nneka Ogwumike signing with Project B in the middle of CBA negotiations.
The supposed freedom of movement the WNBA preached was a complete charade, especially when juxtaposed with the reality of games that resembled prison or the yard. Players were subjected to a level of physical contact that routinely went uncalled, making a mockery of any claims for a free-flowing game. This contradiction highlights the profound hypocrisy at the league's highest levels, where rhetoric clashes violently with practice. The visual evidence of players getting beat to living hell directly contradicted the commissioner's narrative, leaving fans and players alike questioning the league's integrity and commitment to player welfare.
Cunningham, let me just preface this right now. Sophie Cunningham is setting herself up for a career outside of basketball. Not a post-basketball career where she's still talking the game. Shoot, she could still do that if she wants to. I know she did some Phoenix Suns games, right, once upon a time. I'm talking the Nate Burleson route, where Nate Burleson went from the NFL, stopped at ESPN for a hot minute, stopped at Fox for a hot minute, and now he's doing morning news. Sophie Cunningham is setting herself up for that type of post-career run. But let's get into what Sophie Cunningham had to say about the conflict of interest. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe.
Compounding the problem was the staggering lack of officiating consistency, which seemed to benefit some stars while leaving others vulnerable. Take AJ Wilson, for example, who in a single game could shoot 17, 18, 19 free throws, often more than an entire opposing team. This disparity fuels suspicions of agendas within the officiating ranks, creating an uneven playing field. While one player receives calls, another like Caitlin Clark is left to absorb repeated uncalled fouls, highlighting a chaotic and arbitrary system. This selective enforcement breeds resentment and severely undermines the credibility of the entire league.
It was way too much. We saw Kelsey Plum at the podium crying, Gabby Williams at the podium crying, all types of stuff.
I think that what's considered a foul in the rule book maybe needs to change a little bit, because the refs always kind of go back like, well, this is what it is in the handbook, and so this is why we call it. But I think that
so the WNBA has not updated the rule book, the handbook, that these referees claim they are going by. So apparently in this handbook, you can hit somebody upside the head with a sledgehammer. You can slap somebody upside the head with a steel chair.
Sophie Cunningham herself observed that the league's physicality became a little bit too much last season, a massive understatement given the visible injuries and frustrations of players like Kelsey Plum and Gabby Williams, who were seen crying at press conferences. Her comments reveal a widespread sentiment within the locker rooms that the game had veered out of control, demanding a more disciplined and consistent approach from the referees from the opening tip. This isn't about eliminating physicality, but about reining in the excessive, often targeted aggression that plagued the regular season, turning it into what felt like playoff intensity every night.
2 years old. Is this like, is it a tournament? I know it's a league, but like, obviously these women are not playing 40 games during the offseason.
Yeah.
See, Wes, that's why I like you, Wes. You're the normal person, right? You're the casual. You're not knee deep in this, right? Wes posing this question is the temperature that most people have when it comes to Unrivaled. It's a word. They don't know anything else past is this a tournament? Is this a league? What is this? Is this like a summer camp? Is this a summer party? Is this
The consensus among players and observers is that the standard of WNBA officiating is absolutely ridiculous, with seemingly no prerequisites for securing a job as a league rep. This startling lack of professional standards directly translates into the chaos seen on the court, where calls are missed, inconsistent, and often appear arbitrary. It's a fundamental breakdown in the very structure of the game, one that directly impacts player safety and the quality of play. The WNBA, despite its growing profile, seems content with a referee corps that is ill-equipped for elite professional basketball.
They are going by. So apparently in this handbook, you can hit somebody upside the head with a sledgehammer. You can slap somebody upside the head with the steel chair. You can slam someone through a table like it's a WWE tables, ladders, and chairs match. Shout out to the Dudley boys. You can do all of these things in the WNBA rule book, and it's not considered a foul. Kathy Engelbert has not taken the time to update the rule book, have conversations with the refs. I don't know. I thought you guys were preaching freedom of movement. I thought I kept hearing this freedom of movement thing being brought up.
Commissioner Engelbert's dismissive attitude towards these glaring issues only adds insult to injury. She's been characterized as cocky with her nose up in the air, implying that complaints about officiating only come from people that's losing. This arrogance further alienates players and fans who genuinely see a problem rather than just sour grapes from defeated teams. Such a leadership stance is detrimental, creating an environment where valid concerns are ignored and systemic failures persist, exacerbating the already tense relationship between the league office and its athletes. It's a profound misstep in managing critical feedback.
is the temperature that most people have when it comes to Unrivaled. It's a word. They don't know anything else past is this a tournament? Is this a league? What is this? Is this like a summer camp? Is this a summer party? Is this so these people can be in a sorority post-college? What's going on? Is this like an extended party? Is this a mini vacation? West, great question. Great question. Break it down for us. So break it down.
So what it is, it's like 3v3. And so I'm pretty sure 3v3, but
Now it appears the WNBA is paying the price for these institutional failings. The league's negligence in allowing players to target and beat the crap out of Caitlin Clark has created a massive backlash, threatening its burgeoning popularity. The decision not to protect its biggest star and arguably its most valuable asset signals a profound misjudgment. This comes at a crucial juncture for the WNBA, which was finally capturing mainstream attention. The consequences of this oversight could be severe, as fans grow increasingly disillusioned with a league that appears unwilling to safeguard its own talent.
surrounding our physicality, the refs, how the game should be called in the regular season versus playoffs.
Well, the thing is, I understand that physicality goes up in the playoffs. That happens in the NBA as well. But the WNBA regular season looks like prison. It looks like you guys are outside on the yard. And we kept hearing freedom of movement. We kept hearing we want a free-flowing game. Meanwhile, there's people getting beat to living hell, But you have other people like Asia Wilson who can shoot 17, 18, 19 free throws in a single game.
Adding another layer to this deepening scandal, whispers suggest the WNBA itself is now facing a RICO investigation. While details remain murky, the implication is that the league's internal operations, including the alleged negligence in officiating and rule enforcement, could be under federal scrutiny. If true, this represents an unprecedented crisis, far beyond mere bad press. A RICO investigation suggests serious allegations of corruption or systemic wrongdoing, which would utterly devastate the league's reputation and potentially lead to sweeping changes, throwing the entire future of the WNBA into question.
Great fucking players,
Damn.
right? Like,
Yeah.
phenomenal. Can't say enough good things about them on the court. But they're also a part of our exec board. And so that could be a little conflict of interest because W and Unrivaled.
A little bit more than a little, huh? A little bit more than a little bit of a conflict of interest. Now, here's the thing. If Sophie Cunningham is saying this publicly, the players all know this privately. If Sophie is saying this publicly, one more time, the players all know this privately.
Amidst this league-wide turmoil, Sophie Cunningham is strategically building her own future, wisely setting herself up for a significant career outside of basketball, not merely a post-retirement pundit role. Drawing comparisons to NFL star Nate Burleson, who successfully transitioned to morning news, Sophie is positioning herself for a broad media career. This move might be a direct response to her frustration with the league's internal politics and negligence, signaling a smart pivot away from a system she clearly views as flawed. Her outspokenness could be a calculated step in this new career trajectory.
Meanwhile, there's people getting beat to living hell, but you have other people like Asia Wilson who can shoot 17, 18, 19 free throws in a single game and shoot more free throws than the entire other team. So it seems like there was some agendas going on. There's not been any consistency in the officiating, and it makes these games hard to watch. We already have to deal with the fact that y'all miss mad layups. We already got to accept the fact that watching this WNBA game, it's going to be 8 to 9 just point blank range missed layups.
Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back in exposing another major conflict of interest plaguing the WNBA. She explicitly pointed out how league executives, who are also players, hold financial stakes in rival ventures like Unrivaled. This creates a clear ethical dilemma, especially when these very individuals are simultaneously negotiating new collective bargaining agreements on behalf of all players. Their personal business interests could easily clash with the best interests of the entire league, jeopardizing fair negotiations and raising serious questions about whose interests truly come first. This hidden agenda could be undermining the players' unity.
This privately. Sophie Cunningham, she's making dough. She's good. But what about all the players that aren't making dough? The 70,000 a year, the 80,000 a year, the 90,000 a year. Good money for an average American, but these people want to keep up with the Joneses. They want $500,000, $300,000 deals. Indeed.
I guess because this is 3v3, and how over the course of how long, I'm curious. Oh, fuck me, 9 weeks? Oh, okay. Then I was gonna say if it's
Specifically, the conflict centers on Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, who not only play in the WNBA, but are also on the executive board of Unrivaled, a competing 3-on-3 league. If owners offer a CBA deal that includes revenue sharing but prohibits players from participating in Unrivaled, Collier and Stewart face a direct conflict. They would be inclined to reject such a deal to protect their little baby business, potentially at the expense of other players who might benefit from the proposed agreement. This financial entanglement introduces a dangerous bias into critical league negotiations, threatening the fairness of player representation.
Control if an owner is going to want to pay for a new facility. You can't control that as a commissioner. But what you can control is the league operations and things that affect the play of the game. And the officiating was something that you were very, very negligent. And you were very cocky about. Like you just, like your nose is up in the air, like it don't stink. And oh yeah, the only people that complain are the people that's losing. Like, no, that's not happens. That's not what happens. And now it looks like the WNBA is paying the price. You allowed them to target and beat the crap out of Caitlin Clark, and now you have to take your medicine. Get down in the comments and let me know.
The problem of conflicting interests doesn't stop there. Other influential WNBA figures like Nneka Ogwumike are involved with Project B, and Kelsey Plum also has a stake in Unrivaled. This widespread intertwining of player leaders with ownership in rival leagues creates an unprecedented ethical quagmire. How can these individuals genuinely represent the collective interests of WNBA players in CBA negotiations when their personal financial success is tied to competing ventures? It fosters distrust and raises legitimate questions about loyalty, potentially fragmenting player unity at a critical time for the league's future. This multi-layered conflict of interest fundamentally undermines the integrity of the WNBA's collective bargaining process. With key player representatives financially invested in competing leagues, the very foundation of fair negotiation is compromised. What's good for Unrivaled or Project B might not align with what's best for the WNBA as a whole, or for the majority of its players. This internal division, fueled by personal financial gain, makes it incredibly difficult to achieve a truly beneficial deal for all athletes, proving a dangerous distraction from the league's core mission and unity. Beyond the rulebook scandal and conflicts of interest, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall are also leveraging the Caitlin Clark effect to boost their own profiles. The recent appearance as celebrity caddies alongside Clark at the Annika golf event is a prime example of capitalizing on her immense popularity. While seemingly innocuous, it highlights the strategic ways players are aligning themselves with Clark's star power, possibly as a way to build their own brands in an environment where the league itself is facing intense criticism. It's a smart personal move, but also reveals how outside opportunities are created by Clark's pull. Despite the claims that a lot of people really did enjoy Unrivaled, the speaker remains highly skeptical about its actual success, especially concerning ratings. They openly doubt if the league's second year will perform as well as the first, anticipating a decline even with new rating system. This skepticism, coupled with the previously highlighted conflicts of interest, paints a picture of a venture whose true impact and acceptance are still very much in question. It suggests that while some may find it appealing, it hasn't universally captivated the audience it needs to truly thrive and compete. The WNBA is at a critical crossroads, grappling with an outdated rulebook that enabled the targeting of its biggest star, a commissioner accused of gross negligence, and player leaders entangled in severe conflicts of interest. Sophie Cunningham's furious revelations pull back the curtain on a league in disarray, where institutional failures have created a dangerous environment for players like Caitlin Clark, undermine fair play, and compromise the integrity of its leadership. Unless these systemic issues are addressed decisively, the WNBA risks squandering its unprecedented momentum and alienating the very audience it seeks to captivate. The future hangs in the balance.